Well, hello listeners, and welcome to the latest edition of the Helminthologist's Guide to the Classical Organ. It's been an enormous length of time since the last edition, so apologies for that. You might have been wondering why you haven't heard from me for this long time. You might have imagined I've had so much mail, particularly perhaps from Mrs. Viney in Dorset, that I've been coping with that. Well, actually, I'm sorry to say there's been absolutely no mail since the last instalment of this channel. Well, I'm a bit disappointed about that, quite frankly. But I do hope that perhaps this broadcast will generate some mail, ideally of a positive variety. Now, I actually had been preparing something for the latest edition. And I was preparing it ready for Eurovision. And this wasn't for Eurovision that's just happened in Malmo, this was for Eurovision in Liverpool. And of course, I'm in Liverpool here, the organ's in Liverpool, and when Eurovision was going to be here, I thought, well, I better get something ready to mark this event. Now, of course, most music in Eurovision is absolutely awful, wouldn't go near an organ with it, but one bit of music related to Eurovision is very much an organ piece of music. And that is the theme tune for the European Broadcasting Union, which produces Eurovision. And you hear this right at the beginning, if you're settled, ready for the thing to begin. And it's actually Charpentier's Te Deum, the introduction to that. And it's this fantastic trumpet tune, which I'm sure you'll know if you hear it. And I knew this. One's always liked that tune. I thought, well, that'd be a good thing to play on the organ. So I found the music, and I'd been practicing in anticipation of Eurovision and launching a new edition on this channel for that. So, and how this piece of music was written, the trumpet tune is in the right hand, which is fair enough, and it's quite a busy left hand as accompaniment, and it's jumping around and it's stretching a bit. And I was making pretty good progress with this, it has to be said. But then I actually began to get some tendinitis in my left thumb here, and I think it was all the stretching I was doing for the accompaniment that generated this tendinitis. So, I persevered for a bit, but it clearly wasn't getting better. Actually, I lost a bit of strength. I was struggling to open, well, not struggling, it hurt a lot to open some jars. So I decided to rest my left hand, and so I retired Charpentier's Te Deum for the moment. So that happened, and then Ennio Morriconi died, if you remember, the film music composer. So I was reading about him dying and some of his music, and one of his popular pieces of music is called Gabriel's Oboe from a film set in South America. And it's a very nice tune, and I was listening to it because it's been played on the radio and so on. And then I happened to be looking through YouTube channels of amateur organists, imagine, who put their performances on YouTube. And there's a guy called Paul Fay who actually was playing Gabriel's Oboe on his home organ. And it was kind of an interesting thing to watch because the tune is an oboe, as you might imagine, and then there's lots of string sounds in his production, Paul Fay's production, and then he's got a really heavy echo. So there's a lot of sound. It's very, very legato. So it was kind of interesting to watch him play it because it was kind of nice and kind of horrific at the same time. And the other thing that was really curious about it was he was playing it at the top of a staircase. So he had his organ bench that he sat on, where I sit, and right behind it there's a staircase. And if you watch his videos, never mind what he's playing, just look at where the organ is, and it's a health and safety disaster waiting to happen. So anyway, I watched this a few times, in many aspects of interest, shall we say, and I thought, well, I can probably play that also in a much safer manner because I don't have a staircase right behind this organ. So anyway, I got the music for Gabriel's Oboe, started playing it, wasn't too painful with the left hand, and I thought, well, we could do this. Now, organs have reed stops, and very commonly they have one that's called the oboe. This has an oboe on it, although it's a bit of a stringy thing. I don't particularly like it. It also has a clarinet sound as well. So I actually played Gabriel's Oboe here, but I've used the cornet stop. So it's something that's trying to sound a little bit like a trumpet, but it actually works a bit better here. And then for the accompaniment, it needs to be strings. And again, organs have what are called string stops. And in pipe organs, they are usually cut for anytime you press one note, there are two pipes that play, and they're very slightly out of tune with each other, so you get this beating sound. a little bit like a string. And if you have lots of those together, it does sound a string-like effect. So when I've been playing Gabriel's Oboe here, the tune is with a cornet stop. Then I've got some of the string sounds as well. There's also the tremulant, which classic organs have. This is a tremulant as well, so that wobbles the air to generate a bit more of this sort of sound. This, being an electric organ, has a means to increase the reverb, the echo in it. So I've turned that right up as well. So trying to create this sort of sound that works for this particular tune. This is, I should say, very much moving from Radio 3 territory down to Radio 2 territory, but these are adaptive instruments, so that's what I've done here. Now, following that, from Radio 3 to Radio 2, we can go even further, sort of down this slippery path, because this organ, rather strangely, has a panpipe stop in it, this thing here. In fact, it's not even a proper stop. Why it's there as a thumb piston, I don't really know. But anyway, it has this panpipe thing. And of course, this Gabriel's Oboe, the film it was for, I've just now remembered, it was a film called The Mission, which was set in Latin America, and sort of panpipes were there. So I've also done a recording of this, where in place of the oboe, which actually I was playing as a cornet, I've used the panpipes. I mean, this could be absolutely horrific. If my teacher ever saw me playing with this, I would probably never have a lesson with him again. So I've just put it out there for a bit of interest. Let's blame the tendinitis. So there's two versions of Ennio Morriconi's Gabriel's Oboe, one with a oboe, which is actually cornet, and the other with a panpipe, which is in homage, shall we say, to the Latin America setting of this tune. I was on a bit of a roll then. I was looking for things that were relatively easy to play. And I was kind of exploring these string sounds and these heavy echoes that I could put on this instrument. And the other tune I found was Sailing By, which is the theme tune that's played on Radio 4 before the shipping force. Again, it's quite a gentle tune in 3/4 time, and it's got lots of strings, and it actually has some probably oboes or flutes floating above. Well, I can't do all of that, but it's kind of quite a nice tune, quite a relaxing tune, as I've used the string effect. So you actually have 3 recordings here, so because I then end with the Sailing By, the Radio 4 shipping forecast. So this is very much not classical organ, but it's using a classical organ in a slightly more theatre style setting. And I don't quite know what the results will be like when you listen to them. It might be absolutely horrific, because these big echoes and these strings, if it's done nicely, it can sound great. What it's going to sound like when you listen to recording this, I have no idea. It sounds pretty good in the headphones when I'm wearing that. So double health warning this time. It might just sound awful, so go and listen to the real thing. Absolutely not a chance. You should play it through your phone or through your computer. You need to put it into proper hi-fi, have some proper sound balance to stand a chance of this being not absolutely awful. So that's all from me today. Thumb's getting a lot better. There's still a few twinges there. I'm back on the Charpentier. I'll let you know that. And there's another trumpet tune I've got up my sleeve, metaphorically speaking. They'll probably take a while before they're to performance standard, and I'm not going to go too fast because I don't want to mess up my thumb again. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this, and I look forward to a flood of postcards. Bye-bye.